Welcome to this episode of AWS On Air. I am your everyday host at AWS, Brian Terry, and I'm here with one of my good friends, Sneha. And today we're going to be talking about something cool, like we always do on AWS On Air. And if this is the first time you're joining us on AWS On Air, we're happy that you're here. So like and subscribe, and you can always view cool content on AWS On Air. So, hey, Sneha, how are you doing today?
Hey, Brian, thanks for having me. I'm doing great. How are you?
Awesome. Happy to have you here. So I'm gonna let you introduce yourself to our audience.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Sneha Sachidananda. I'm the product lead for cloud security within Elastic Security, and I've been at Elastic for more than a year and a half now.
Awesome. And Elastic is one of my favorite products. I actually use it quite frequently, and in the past I've done so too. But
Okay.
everyone in the audience may not be like that. So let's talk a little bit about what Elastic is and what you guys do.
Sounds good. For those of you who are not familiar with Elastic, if anyone at Elastic who's working at Elastic or who's familiar with the community generally asks you, hey, what is Elastic? We like to say that Elastic is a search company, and dig a little bit deeper into that. Some people might be familiar with, the Elk stack, and some people might be just familiar with Elasticsearch. And so, what exactly is Elastic? So, we are basically a search company, and then we have different solutions that are built on top of that particular search platform. And today we're going to be talking about the Elastic Security solution and specifically diving a little bit deeper into the cloud security use case there.
Yeah, that's super interesting. And I just want to double click on that. Like Elastic is a super powerful tool. I've used it a lot in the past. One time in my life I was a DevOps engineer, right? And I relied on a lot of these toolings to make my job better. So I'm always super excited to hear about what Elastic's doing and new products. And so as you mentioned a little bit something there in a second that you were going to talk a little bit about a new product. So I heard you have something awesome to show.
Yep, absolutely. So let's dive into that. You ask anybody who's familiar with Elastic, the number one thing that you'll hear about is Elastic is a search company. But much more than that, when you dive a little bit deeper, you'll also understand that there is an Elasticsearch platform, and we have different out of the box solutions that are built on top of the platform. The two most popular ones that you might be familiar with is the Elastic Observability solution and the Elastic Security solution. Of course, there's also the search solution where you can build your own custom applications. For today, as I was telling you about, we'll dive a little bit deeper into the Elastic Security solution. And as you're seeing out here, and of course, many people are familiar with it, data is always ends up becoming a common denominator, a common problem that we always talk about, right? And there are many different problems that we hear about, and especially in the context of security. Sometimes there is a problem with lots of data. You have lots of data, and as a result of that, you get overwhelmed, not exactly having to understand how to make sense of different security alerts that could come in, different events that could come in, and things of that nature. There's also a problem in terms of the speed and the scale when it comes to handling massive amounts of data, especially when you're dealing with large distributed environments with a combination of hybrid environments where some of the applications are running in cloud, some of them are running in on-prem. And as a result of that, how do you ensure that you don't have data silos? And of course, with all of this, there's always a lack of team members. There's always a lack of expertise of people who are available to look at the different data, make sense out of it, get the relevant context so you can go ahead and solve the security problems that you need to in order to keep your organization's data safe.
That is super interesting and super relatable because if you're managing large infrastructure scales, just like you said in cloud and on-prem, it's great to have that overall visibility of this data and to be able to search it well. I mean, I think that's a very powerful point, and you guys offer a very powerful tool to solve that problem, I think. Well,
Yep.
I think it's awesome. Yeah, I think, yeah, exactly is what that is. Not, I think. So yeah, very
Right. Yeah, so diving a little bit into this, right? So, as I was telling you, today's talk, I'm going to talk a little bit more about elastic security itself. And so, going back to this whole idea of data, as anybody who's using the Elastic platform, the number one thing that you can think about is it is a platform that allows you to send data of various different formats and different sources. So we collect the data, and then we give you the tools that allows you to analyze the data. And then on top of that, for elastic security, we provide you with various different mechanisms to prevent and respond to threats, and so that like I was mentioning earlier, your organization's data stays safe, right? So when you think about it, all of this is powered by the Elastic Security Lab. So we have an awesome security labs team. They're constantly working on various different, important threats and important research that is happening across the board. And every day they're writing many different rules, and they could be out of the box rules that anybody can take a look at. There are also rules that are based on machine learning models for things like anomaly detection. And all of this is made available in the Elastic Security platform, and it acts on the data that you're sending into Elastic. So just to give an example of that, we can take the cloud data. So you can ingest various different types of log sources to Elastic. So be it logs from your AWS CloudTrail, logs from your AWS, inspector, and VPC flow logs, and all of that data comes and gets into the Elastic Security platform and gets normalized into our ECS data model. And then on top of that, you have these various different rules that can go ahead and act on that specific data, look for certain anomalies, look for certain threats that could be present on that data, and then will alert you so that you can start to take various different actions on it. For example, you want to send a Slack message to someone to say, hey, take a look at it. You can create a case and assign a Jira ticket to somebody. Or you could, even have like a webhook and send it to various different platforms. It could be things like Tines, it could be things like ServiceNow, Swimlane, whatever different orchestration tool that you'd be using. Now, on top of that, we also provide native protection. And so that's where the use cases that I was talking about comes into play. So things like endpoint security as well as cloud security. So not only is it important to collect this various different data and allow developers as well as like DevOps, DevSecOps, whichever persona that we're talking about here, to make sense of the data. Now, you also want security teams to make sure that the infrastructure that you're using, as well as the workloads that you're using, is protected. So that's where our cloud security feature comes into play. And we offer various different cloud security functionalities in order to help protect this data in the exact same platform, which is why Elastic Security, we like to call ourselves a modern and consolidated security operations platform.
Excellent, excellent. In my past, I was a DevOps engineer, and I managed a large cloud infrastructure. And one of the things I always struggled with is asking specific questions and finding answering those questions easily. So some of the things that come to my mind when I think to my past is like, in my cloud infrastructure that I'm managing, what is deployed in my account? What services? What repository? What code base? Essentially answering that question and trying to do it quickly, because it goes along with security and compliance. So I assume that this tool helps with answering those questions. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really great point that you brought up, Brian. So this is exactly, aligns with what we hear really often from many customers that we talk about. And, one of the most challenging things when it comes to cloud security is, getting that overall visibility into what exactly is going on in my cloud infrastructure, what kind of services are running, what kind of infrastructure is deployed, what kind of, like, who has access to what in my specific environment. So just kind of starting with that visibility and getting just a check on everything that's going on within my cloud environment is the first and foremost step. And once you have that visibility, then you can start to dive into these other specific areas that we have out here, which is, now that I know exactly what's running in my environment, I then want to get a sense of what exactly is the posture of these different assets. So what is the posture score for this specific S3 bucket that I have, that I'm using? Has it been configured properly? Are there any vulnerabilities that have been associated with in the wild that my environment is subject to? And also in terms of runtime security, right? So there are many different events and activities that are constantly happening within your infrastructure. How do you get a visibility into everything that's going on within your infrastructure? And then, of course, it all comes back to that data. So how do you get all of this information, in a single pane of glass, in a consolidated way, where you can, get the data from different sources and stitch them together so that you can drive meaningful insights and integrations.
And that's super interesting. And and the other thing that goes along with this is, if I have my DevOps hat on and I'm trying to understand what's running in my infrastructure, I may be working with a team like I did in my past. That was a security team I was not part of that, but we still had to collaborate across, this kind of data and having solutions. Can you talk a little bit about how your platform kind of brings collaboration together between your security teams, between your developers and your DevOps teams, and kind of brings that together?
Yeah, of course. And also, this is another, common problem that we hear across multiple different organizations, right? Especially nowadays, when you consider, modern organizations who are developing in the cloud. Some, they call themselves in some cases cloud native, and in some cases, you also hear a term where they're using a combination of different hybrid environments as well. And so in that case, you want to ensure that you have a solution that works for these kind of ways in which it helps developers as well as it helps security teams work together to solve the problem, right? And so with that, I want to dig a little bit deeper into how we are addressing that problem, right? And so with one of the things that we announced actually, in the beginning of this year is the Elastic Security for Cloud, what we call as our CNAPP offering. So that's the Cloud Native Application Protection Platform, which is built on top of this security analytics solution that we talked about, specifically for your AWS environment. So, let's say you're using, your AWS environment, AWS workloads, and you have deployed that, and now you want to get a sense of, what is exactly the different misconfigurations that I have for these different services. What exactly are the different vulnerabilities that are present within my environment? And also, what exactly are the different runtime activities that are happening in my environment? And also, how do I prevent that? How do I respond to that, both for cloud as well as container environments? So we have this comprehensive solution, and this comprehensive solution is built on top of Elastic Security, which is obviously built on top of the Elastic platform. And this is something that is available on the AWS marketplace for customers to start deploying today and protecting their AWS cloud environments.
Super interesting. And this is very cool. So, and one of the things that I find that's just super cool about this is that, back in the day, it was just kind of me being a DevOps engineer. I had my other teams, SecOps and security team. There was always a need to have someone else to kind of help us. And we hear a lot of these days about generative AI. And I think, if I was working still in that role, this would have helped out a lot. And I heard you guys are kind of bringing in AI to help make this easier for developers and customers, right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up. That's a really exciting and interesting topic for us, both in the Elastic security solution as well as within the Elastic platform overall. So there are two different ways. In Elastic, most recently, we released the Elastic Security Assistant. So just like how you were saying, so let's take an example in this case. You're a security engineer and you discovered that, oh, look at this, I have this S3 bucket, it's been not been encrypted, and that's a misconfiguration. And now we have this security assistant integration which is available. You can literally take that particular alert or particular finding and ask a question within our platform to this AI assistant to say, how do I go about it, and get answers which will start helping with that investigation. Whereas before you would have to then, go and, look at some run book or playbook and try to like do a lot more work. And now we have this AI assistant right there within the Elastic security solution to help you with your investigation. And also on top of that, for Elastic, because we have been built, all the expertise that we have over the years with the Elastic platform itself, we've developed an amazing vector search capability, and this will allow developers who are developing these different applications using the power of LLMs, and let's say they want to get some additional build applications with additional context. So, for example, I want specific context about a certain, enterprise. I want a specific context about a certain use case that I have. You can start to use and build applications on top of our Elasticsearch itself as a platform. So we're offering solutions in both these areas, and we're very excited to actually bring that capability. It's already available in Elastic, and customers can start trying it out as of today itself.
Awesome. So I like what you said about customers can try it out today. So how can customers try this out today?
Yeah, it's really simple. You go to the AWS marketplace and you look for Elastic, and once you do that, you'll see us, popping there right up, and right from there you can get started using Elastic, and feel free to give it a free try. We even offer a free trial. You can get started with that, and all of the capabilities that I spoke about is available right through that integration that we have available in the marketplace. So you can go ahead and get started and, just give it a try. And we also have a community Slack channel. We're available on various different forums where you can, pop in and ask us any questions, join the community, and just be part of the conversation.
Thank you, Sneha, for being here today. It's been an awesome conversation. This is a very cool tool. This is very useful. I'm thinking personally, I'm actually going to sign up for that trial and give it a shot. But before I let you go, I heard some good news about you and Gartner. So I just want to mention that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So along with all the things that I told you about, you don't have to take my word for it. There is, we have various different, recognition that Elastic has been given. And most recently, we've been named as a visionary in the 2023, both for our observability as well as for our security products. So definitely we have that external validation from Gartner, Forrester, and various different, places where you can get that kind of feedback. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us today and speaking with, and Sneha, thank you for talking to me today about Elastic and showing this really cool tool. And this is another episode of AWS On Air in the bag, but you can always, find us on YouTube and LinkedIn to learn about the coolest and new things on AWS On Air. And you can also follow me at I Need Help Brian on social media. If you want to chat with me about Elastic, I'll be happy to do it. So thank you again, and we'll be seeing you next time in the next episode of AWS On Air.